Welcome back to Dragon Army Books. My name is Dustin, and this video is a part of a series, an ongoing series that will never end, that talk about 5 new books in any particular given month. It doesn't happen each and every month, but when there is a nice pool to pull from, then I want to make one of these videos so that I can be on the up and up, and so I can keep you on the up and up on upcoming fantasy sci-fi books that are being released in or around this month. For this month, we're talking about the month of April because we want to be on the up and up and not on the down and down. The first book is by BookTuber extraordinaire Daniel Green, and this book already released on March 30th. It is called Breach of Peace. It is the first novella in a trilogy of novellas that is going to set up the main series that Daniel Green is working up to write. This is his debut. He is kind of just getting on the scene, and he gave us a story that and I think many other of his fans were not expecting. It is a fantasy story, but it's kind of a fantasy mystery, a crime thriller novel, the likes of the Dresden Files or even Sherlock Holmes. And it's about 3 inspectors who are trying to discover the motives and the perpetrators behind a particularly gruesome crime that is told in detail at the beginning of the story. Evidence points to a rebel group that is trying to undermine and get at the very heart of the empire. But slowly they start to find out more and more details that show that there are some much more severe things that are at stake for the empire itself. Again, fantasy light, but a really good entry, especially when it comes to debut writing. I think Daniel's going at it at a very creative way here with doing kind of 3 novellas to start off his writing career, and I think it's paying off. The next book is called The Infinity Courts by Akemi Dawn Bowman, and this is set to be released April 6th. It is a story about a young 18-year-old girl who has just graduated high school. She's on her way to her graduation party, and she tragically dies. But then she wakes up in a place called Infinity, where a malicious AI has taken over the afterlife and is working to eradicate all of humanity. This young girl, our protagonist, and a band of rebels are working then together to try to overthrow this new AI queen of the afterlife and liberate, save humanity as we know it. It sounds incredible. The cover looks beautiful, and I'm super thrilled to get into this book. Next up is a book called Hummingbird Salamander by Jeff Vandermeer. This is slated to be released April 6th as well, and this is the author of the Annihilation book and series that I read, at least the first book, and didn't enjoy. It wasn't for me. This book, like that one, is kind of a mixture of sci-fi elements with real-world elements, kind of striking up conversations in this book in particular about climate change, identity, the world that we live in, and doing it and trying to do it in a fast-paced sci-fi story. Here, I don't know much about the story here, but I think that its plot revolves around this eco-terrorist that I think is dead, but has left behind, for our main character, who is a security consultant, left behind a god? Anyways, an eco-terrorist has left behind a key to a lockbox, and inside this lockbox is a taxidermied hummingbird with clues to find a taxidermied salamander. Doesn't sound fun to me, but again, fans of Jeff Vandermeer might find this book and this idea of a story intriguing. The next book is The Helm of Midnight by Marina Lostetter, slated to be released April 13th by Tor Books, which immediately catches my attention because I love Tor, most things that Tor puts out. This is a fantasy serial killer story. Doesn't that sound delightful? Thieves have made away with an artifact of terrible power. It is the death mask of a serial killer who is long gone, long dead. But now, from beyond the grave, the serial killer's crimes are coming back to life. It is the responsibility, the task of our protagonist and her fellow regulators to enter the mind of madness and stop the crimes once and for all. If you like that thriller kind of crime, serial killer kind of your thing, but you want some magic involved, hey, check out The Helm of Midnight. And then finally, a sci-fi entry by Martha Wells called Fugitive Telemetry. Am I pronouncing that word correctly? I'm not going to try to re-record because I just don't know. I don't use that word enough to really care. April 27th is when the book is supposed to be released. This is the next entry in the Murderbot Diaries. I have a whole video about the Murderbot Diaries and why I think the series is overrated, but I know a lot of people love this Murderbot, this kind of AI robot human. It's not a human, but it's this artificial intelligence that has feelings, likes its soap operas, but also doesn't like to kill people, but it's got this moniker of Murderbot. Anyways, we're 6 books in at this point, so don't pick it up here. And they're short stories though, so you can get through them really quickly. I read the first 3 in a matter of like 2 days, I think. Really quick reads. They're very easy reads, and if you like its shtick, then maybe you'll like this series and you'll want to read all the way through. Again, this is the 6th entry, and Murderbot is up to Murderbot shenanigans again. I think Murderbot finds a murdered body and people think it's Murderbot, but guess what? It's probably not Murderbot. I don't know, but again, start at the beginning. You can get to number 6 fairly quickly if this kind of sci-fi short story, fast-paced, weird protagonist, very small secondary cast is something that you're interested in. Then go through the Murderbot Diaries. Those are my suggestions for the books that are coming out in or around the month of April 2021. If you have other suggestions that I missed, fantasy and sci-fi in particular, maybe a little bit of young adult in there, drop them in the comments down below because I'm always looking for really good books to read. And I really want to be among the first to read them. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch and like this video. If you haven't yet, click subscribe, join the Dragon Army, and we'll see you in the next one.